so both of them are off with excuse. And so public appearances for non-agenda items, we do not have any. So next, we have 3 alpha, selection of members. Select a board, a public works member to serve on Transportation and Transit Commission due to vacancy. And I would make a motion to defer this action until I speak with the mayor.
I'll second that.
Okay. Discussion, the reason being, we already have one member with Bill is already on Transportation and Transit off of council, and he's on this board, so I'm not sure if we need another member on there. So I'd like to speak with the mayor about that. See what. Did you have any discussion?
Yeah, with the Transportation and Transit Commission, the ordinance calls for 1 citizen member appointed by the Board of Public Works. So since Bill's an alder, he doesn't qualify per the ordinance. So the committee is supposed to be made up of 4 citizen members nominated by the mayor, and then Bill would be the 1 alder person subject by the confirmation of the Common Council, and then there's another citizen member from the Plan Commission that's appointed, and then 1 citizen member appointed by the Board of Public Works.
Okay. Well, I'd still like to defer. I'd like to have a discussion with the mayor about this. We're not sure we have our members have the bandwidth right now to take this on. So I'll have a discussion with her, and can we put it on the agenda for next meeting again, Tim?
Sure, will do.
Thank you. All right, next we're on to agenda item 4, approval of the May 1st, 2023 meeting minutes. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Kim. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Don. Any questions, changes? Seeing none? All right, we'll call the vote. All in favor of the approval of the May 1st, 2023 meeting minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The minutes are approved. Next, a report from our department head, Mr. Tim Volker.
Thank you. I'll start with some staff updates. As I mentioned in the last meeting, we have an internal person that's moving into the transportation engineer, and that's Ross. So Ross is going to stay in his current position until we fill that. He'll be helping with the transportation engineer position in the interim, but once we fill his position, we'll be able to move him over full-time. And his position, along with the part-time environmental engineer, the stormwater engineer, that went to the Personnel Committee last week, Wednesday, for approval to remove the professional engineer requirement from the job description. So that was approved by the committee, and I spoke to HR today. They will be posting the new job descriptions this week, removing the PE requirement and posting it as entry level. Obviously, if someone came in with a PE, we would still interview them, and they could still apply for the job and get paid accordingly, but the pay range is going to reflect not having a PE for those 2 positions. And then, as I mentioned, once we fill Ross's current position, we'll be able to move him over full-time to the transportation position. Next up is the project updates. Sain Road reconstruction project is still under construction. Sain Road and Lacey Road, the intersection is closed with detours. We're looking to have that open sometime in June, so in the next 3-4 weeks, we're looking at that. And then once that intersection opens, the Sain Road and East Sherrill Parkway intersection will be closed with detour. The Lacey Road Seminole Highway reconstruction project, Parisi Construction mobilized last week and started to install the silt fence. Starting today, the road is closed from Fitchburg east to Seminole Highway. The Seminole Highway and Lacey Road intersection remains open till June 10th. Then the contractor is allowed to have that intersection closed because school will be out. And then prior to school opening in the fall, they need to have that intersection reopened. Fitchburg Road reconstruction project, there's a public information meeting on Thursday, May 25th, 2023, from 6 to 8 p.m. in the council chambers. And lastly is the Sherrill Drive Stormwater Improvement Project. Last week, the site accepted delivery of the materials for the project. The box culverts arrived on site. And this week, we're looking to commence work starting tomorrow and hoping to have that intersection opened up, I believe, in mid-June, and then the project completed in mid-July. So with that, does anyone have any questions?
Just a couple quick ones. All the road closure ones, are they closed, open to local traffic, or just closed and there's a detour designated for all of them?
They're so Lacey Road and even Sain Road is open to local traffic, but closed to traffic outside being local.
Okay. And then the only other thought I had on your two positions, I can understand the environmental on a lot of agencies, groups go without an engineer for that position. Traffic one, not so much. They always at least make the objective level having a PE. Eventually you can hire without it, but making the objective level. Is that your game plan, or? Yeah,
so Ross, the gentleman moving into that position, he'll be sitting for his PE within the next month or two. So Ross has the skill set, and he has been doing some traffic engineering work for us since he has been on board, and has shown an interest, and we believe he'll succeed in that position.
Tim?
Yes.
I think I saw something from Administrator Brecklin. Is the map out showing the streets that we're going to resurface or maintain this year? Is that out yet?
Yes, that's been posted to our website, and it's also been included in the CIP document for 2024 to 2020 or 2033, the 10-year CIP. So that map is also included in that, which will be coming forward for approval by the council in the next month.
Do you recall a street called Smithfield? Is that on there?
I do not know. I'd have to take a...
Can you look? I'm
Sure.
sorry, I'm throwing this.
No, that's all right.
It isn't fair to you, but it's a street in my neighborhood that's in terrible shape. I think all the curbs need replacing. They're all cracked at the bottom. I mean, it's kind of overdue, and I'm questioned. I'm asked about it quite often. So if you could see where that falls, so I could reply to the residents about that one.
Will do.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any other questions for Tim? Thank you for the report, Tim. Next, we'll move on to our agenda items. The first one, I keep my screen from scrolling, is Resolution R9423, authorizing approval of the Senior Center patio installation bid. We have a motion to approve.
Approve.
Moved by Don. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Kim. So as you know, the senior center, we wanted to install a patio outside there. We feel we could make better use of our senior center on nice days. There are some oversights on this with Promega, having some oversight on this, but we've came up with a plan, and I believe now we've received an installation bid. What would you like to add on that, Tim?
The patio, it's a 600 square foot concrete patio that includes a shade structure and landscaping. We received one qualified bid in the amount of $93,345 from Greener Valley Landscaping. The architect who designed the patio, they've done work with this contractor, and they come recommended. They've done good work for them in the past. The project was over budget for what the city had budgeted, but was within $2,000 of the architect's opinion of probable construction cost. And we're just looking to approve the contract for Greener Valley Landscaping.
I would add that Senior Center and the Friends of the Senior Center have done a wonderful job fundraising, and I don't think they're done, you know. I think if we point to them that we're over budget, I suspect they may keep the fundraising effort going. So I am very much in support of this project. Don?
I did have a question. Again, this is only my second meeting, and it's the second time I've already seen we got one bidder for these. Is there a different mechanism we can look at to get, because there's a ton of landscapers around this area that I'm surprised they didn't chomp at the bit to want to do this.
Yeah, we kind of discussed that this morning. It's not like a water main sewer roadway project where you have a bunch of contractors. You did mention there's a lot of landscaping contractors. They tend to focus on the private, not so much the public. The city did put it out in the Wisconsin State Journal. It advertised twice back in March 30th and April 6th. We've also posted to questcdn.com. Those are big mechanisms to post and advertise for projects. So, everyone is busy. It's hard to find people to do work.
I think some of the landscaping firms probably stayed away from it because of the amount of concrete work in the patio, area. So now we have a landscaping firm that's going to be the prime, but I think they have a sub for the concrete work?
I believe so. That'll be subbed out.
I have a question. It is Greener Valley Landscaping, because throughout our packet here, half the time it says Green Valley Landscaping, like in the vendor form, and then sometimes it says Greener Valley. So I don't know, like vendor address, it says Green Valley and Janesville, and then sometimes it says Greener. So I wasn't sure which one it really was.
Yeah, we can look into that. The resolution states Greener Valley.
Okay. The purchase order information, it's all Green Valley.
Okay.
Just so that we're consistent and we make sure with the contract, it is who it really is.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that keen eye. Any other questions? We'll call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R 9423 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, Resolution R 8123, approving purchase of 7 bus shelters from Dual Guard Industries. We have a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
Moved by Kim. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Don. This is due to the redesign, Mass and Metro redesign. Shelters are going to be required at different locations due to the route being changed. And I guess I'll kind of leave it at there. What would you like to add on this, Tim?
For this, the city received 80% of the project costs in state funding, up to $140,800. So the city's providing the remaining $38,085 for the project. As you mentioned, Dual Guard Industries, the manufacturer of the bus shelters, the city's been using them since 2014, most recently on Fish Hatchery Road. And the state has authorized in writing the sole source to utilize this vendor. Therefore, we're requesting to purchase 7 shelters from them in the amount of $178,885.
Is this your public appearance item?
Pardon me?
Is this your public appearance
No,
item?
no.
Okay.
Next one. Did we look into retasking or reusing existing shelters? I know there's one on my street that will no longer be on a bus route.
Yes, so if there is as you mentioned, the reroute is occurring. If there happens to be a stop that's getting removed with a shelter, that the city would be responsible for removing it. Mark would, and his streets team would go there, remove it, and then we would store it at the Public Works facility until relocating it to a new stop.
I have another question. So originally we were going to get 8, but the cost obviously came in higher than what we had. And so we're only getting 7. Do you know what is happening to that 8th location? What are we going to do? Use one of the old ones there, or
Yeah, that is a potential. We could look at doing that. As far as the state municipal agreement that we have, we didn't list out the exact stops. We just kind of showed the general vicinity in the application for that grant. So we can definitely, look at relocating it to the one that is not getting, that we were unable to purchase due to budget reasons, locating it there or at another location that may be more use.
Don?
Question, Tim. You got the waiver from the state for the sole source. Any chance one of your staff talked to them about, are there other providers that can give us, I understand the shelter and keeping the consistency and the look of it, but there's got to be other vendors out there with it, and sometimes a little competition helps.
Yeah, but at the same time, like you mentioned, we want to keep it consistent, a consistent look with the city. Also for repairing, if repair parts, we're keeping two different manufacturers, repair parts on the shelf, which we have limited storage space as is. And it's harder for our guys too to learn how to repair something from two different manufacturers versus one. It's easier.
But if it's designed and spec'd the same, it should be interchangeable, right?
No, not if it's a different manufacturer. Like the repair part would be different. It wouldn't be the exact same. It'd be like purchasing from Ford. You can't purchase a Chevy part from Ford to put in a Chevy. So, Duo Guard's going to have a different repair part than, say, Company X.
Mm-hmm. The numbers will be.
Right, yeah, the numbers and also the dimensions may be different too. And the fasteners, the bolts, the anchoring, all that.
I guess it is something just to keep in mind, though, if, we need more, and hopefully we won't need more after this major Metro Transit ride changes. But it is with the sole source, it is, if they prices keep going up on it, it might be something that we consider so that we make sure the city gets their money's worth.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? Call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R8123 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, Resolution R10123, accepting subdivision improvements in the Ochala Certified Survey Map. We have a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
Moved by Kim. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Don. So the Ochala, I think all of you know, is off of Fish Hatchery Road. And I assume that on the agenda that has been inspected and everything found to be acceptable in the plat. Tim?
So Tracy did perform an inspection last week, a walkthrough. There are a couple remaining items. The sidewalk ramps on Index still need to be poured. Also, the restoration of the pond is still working. She's given them a deadline till Wednesday to complete that work. If that work isn't completed, we'd look to pull this for the Common Council meeting on Tuesday. But tonight, we're looking to have it approved, even with those remaining punch list items still out there. And then Wednesday, by close of business, if those items aren't completed, we'd look to have it or at least put on hold for the Common Council meeting next week, Tuesday.
All right, understood. So if they do not get that completed, it gets pulled from council, please put it on our agenda again so we're aware of it when it comes up the next time. I don't know what, Kim or Don, if you have a feeling, if you want to. When she looked at those, they're not minor, but they're somewhat minor, but they're not trivial, and actually landscaping, they like to run away from that. So I trust they know that it won't be won't be approved, formally approved by council unless they get that work done. All right. Any other questions?
Just a question, and I'm sure legal is the one that has this final say in it, but you have a 14-month proving period or
Warranty? Yeah.
on there? Is that a typical standard clause in there, or does it vary based on, some of this is landscaping, so if it's not proven till the next year, then city's on the hook to fix it, right?
After the year warranty, yeah, for this particular project was 14 months, so anything after 14 months from date of acceptance, we would be on the hook for, but any time between acceptance to 14 months, they would be on the hook for. So say this gets accepted in June, it would be August of next year.
Any other questions? Call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R-101-23 signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries. Next, we have Resolution R-100-23, conditionally approving a holding tank permit for 2995 South Sain Road. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Moved by Kim. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Don. We have Mr. David Haith would like to speak on this agenda item.
Should I hear what Tim has to say?
What do you need?
I was just wondering if I could hear Tim's description first, just to
Oh,
make
yeah, okay, yeah, let's do that. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Haith. And will you give us the background on this first? I'm sorry.
Sure. 2995 South Sain Road septic system has failed, and soil conditions are not suitable for a replacement system. Therefore, they submitted a permit application for installation of a holding tank. And the city's ordinance prohibits holding tanks for new construction and for any building after September 24th, 1980. A holding tank, however, may be approved to service structures in existence prior to September 24th, 1980 if a conventional system cannot be installed due to soil conditions. The buildings to be serviced by this proposed holding tank were built in the 50s and 60s per the assessing department, and Public Works is recommending approval of the holding tank permit application that was submitted for 2995 South Sain Road, subject to 3 conditions, and the 3 conditions are 2995 South Sain Road may not be land divided through a CSM, subdivided, or rezoned, nor may any conditional use permits be granted unless the holding tank permitted through this approval is abandoned. And then second condition is no renovations nor additions may be approved for uses on 2995 South Sain Road that would increase the amount of sanitary sewage currently generated on this property. And then the third and final condition is a recorded copy of the holding tank agreement shall be submitted to the city prior to installation of the holding tank.
Tim, what are the requirements for, is it a city or I believe it's a state requirement for, is it annual inspection or yearly pumping?
Yes, so that the county would be Dane County would be overseeing the inspection of the holding tank. The applicant would be required as part of their agreement to submit semi-annual reports, letting them know what service intervals it's been cleaned at within each semi-annual period.
One last question before Mr. Haith. Who's the owner of that property?
I believe the owner is Joe Gervasi.
Trust, okay. All right.
Tim, Sain Road's right there. Where's the nearest sanitary?
So the nearest sanitary is north of the property. It's about 750 feet. It's the MMSD's interceptor. And in order to get to that sanitary, you have to go through wetlands in order to get there.
Mr. Heath?
So about over the last 6 years, I've been concerned about the impact of construction on wetlands, and obviously there's construction in Cyan, and that's kind of how I got interested in this. It appears that the landowner is acting responsibly here. I checked the NRCS soils map to exactly what the contractor says, as you would expect since it's surrounded by wetlands. There's every evidence that they're acting responsibly, and this seems to me to be a reasonable solution to this problem, at least in the short to medium term. I think the three conditions protect the public interest. The only thing I would add is to protect the public interest, the council has the ability, the city has the ability to put a term on the permit, and I'd like to see a 3-year initial term on the permit. That way, in 3 years, the property owner can appear here and have a discussion, and instead of relying necessarily on the county for things and the city not knowing, that way they'll show up. And in the other direction, when they come before the city can apprise them of anything that might be going on that they should be aware of for their long-term planning with regard to the property. So, I would appreciate having a addition of a 3-year permit term.
Thank you, Mr. Heath. We don't have anything in our ordinances mandating this one way or the other.
Correct.
I agree with Mr. Heath. I would be in favor of a 5-year. I don't know if the other board members have any thoughts on that.
How prevalent are holding tanks in the city of Fitchburg?
This wouldn't be the first. We do have several out there. The exact number I do not know, but the city has approved in the past holding tanks for certain situations that call for it.
One question that I did have on this property was, it's a lot of it is boat parking, and they said that, the reason they're asking for the holding tank is because in the areas of where there's buildings and boat parking, the soils, are not suitable in the other location. But to me, it seems like boat parking is sort of temporary, and you could move your boat parking around. I mean, people bring trailers in and move them out. Did they look at the soils in the boat parking area? Is the whole lot not good for any kind of permeable soils? Or did they just look in the area where they wanted to put the holding tank because they don't want to move any boat parking?
My understanding was the whole lot was not feasible.
Okay.
Thank you for asking the question. Very relevant. Don?
So and I got to take your word for it because I'm not specialized in this, but the previous sanitary was a conventional, and now it has to be holding tank because of the soils. Again, it sounds like, is it because it's all granular because it's paved now, versus if they would put a elevated conventional septic in there, would that suffice? I'm just going by what was written by the...
I don't believe I think currently they have a holding tank. So they're looking to put in a new holding tank, and the septic would not work due to the soil conditions out there.
So this is not my area of expertise, so I'll just state what I saw on the NRCS soil map. So the whole site is hydric soils, and they're all classified as relatively poor to very poor drainage.
Thank you, Mr.
So that may account for the failure of the septic system over time, given that it wasn't really percolating well to begin with, would be my guess. But again.
Because I do believe it said they had an existing
Drain.
conventional system, and not a holding tank, and now they're replacing it. So I don't know if when they built it in the 50s or 60s, they had different requirements than they do now. But, I mean, there's always the mound systems where when you have bad soils, you go above ground, but they do take up quite a bit of space.
Yeah, so they included a percolation test in the agenda packet that they performed back in March 1998, or 1988, and on there was the recommended system, a holding tank, back then.
But they were just going to wait until their existing one failed?
And it looked like there was an existing drain field prior to that. So,
Well, I would, I move an amendment to add a condition for permit lasting 5 years requiring renewal. Anyone want to second that?
I can second it.
Okay.
Is there, one final question, Tim. 88's a long time ago. How long does a county's report valid for? I mean, are they required to provide a new one?
provide a new what
New
report
analysis?
or?
I mean, does the county, whoever from the county that signed off on it and did that, do they need to refresh it, I guess? Because it's so old.
What are you looking to refresh, like the borings or the perk test or?
Well, based on new standards, different design, the mound system's not even a alternative in their checkbox. Oh, no, there is a mound, okay. Yep,
Yeah, and there's another exhibit. It states 2,000 gallon holding tank approved in 1993, state approval 593-00766. So it looks like, and now they're proposing a 5,000 gallon holding tank. It's a little over twice the size.
Yeah, the date on the Crest precast, their holding tank, or their, holding tank things is '08. So it seems like this has been in the works for quite a long time, which is 15 years ago. I don't know if they're planning on using the same one. I didn't see anything with a current date on it. They are all old. 'Cause that was the 5,000 gallon one. The date on that one was '08.
We have an amendment before us, adding an additional condition on here that requires this to be, come before the board of the city in 5 years for renewal. A vote, all in favor of that amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the amendment carries. Next, voting on the main resolution as amended, Resolution R100-23 as amended, signify your approval. Aye.
I'll
Aye.
approve it.
Okay. All right. Well, I was calling the vote on that. I'm sorry. All in favor of approval of the R100-23 as amended signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The amended resolution carries. Thank you. Next, we have Resolution R104-23, preliminary assessment resolution for Lacey Road water main improvements. We have a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
Moved by Kim. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Don. Okay. Run us through this one, Tim.
In order to provide municipal water service to existing properties along Lacey Road, as well as for future developments, water main will be installed on Lacey Road between Rock Ridge Road and Crescent Crossing, which is just on the east side of Seminole Highway and Lacey Road intersection. As part of the Lacey Road reconstruction project, this water main will also improve system redundancy, reliability, and fire flows for a portion of the city's west zone. This preliminary assessment resolution authorizes staff to prepare the preliminary assessment report and to proceed with the special assessment process as defined in our local ordinance.
Questions for Tim?
Do you have any idea how many property owners this will include?
2.
Oh.
So it would be Hartung and Payne and Dolan, kind of on the west end of Lacey Road.
Would the Hartung be a delayed Would either of these be a delayed assessment?
No.
No, okay, good. Music to my ears.
Does it matter how it's zoned out there? I mean, it's
As far as the assessments go,
not so much for assessments, because you're using police powers. So if someone doesn't want it and they have an existing well, you're saying, we're putting it in and assessing you for it. Now, you only mentioned two, they may both be cool with that, and that's fine. But I was just wondering, does it matter how it's zoned out there? So if I was zoned agricultural and you're coming by and making it look like a city, I'm still agricultural.
right, I believe you'd still be responsible for the assessment.
Well, I'm sorry, Tim, is it both sides of the road here? Or is it just one side of the road?
I believe it's just going on the north side of the road.
Okay,
But they would require, if the south side of the road ever were to develop, that they would connect to this water main, so that I think, aren't the property owners on both sides?
There are property owners on both sides, so Hartong's on the south side, Payne and Dolan's on the north. A connection from the north, the water main's gonna be on the north side of the road, so there'll be a T coming off south to connect the properties to the south.
I think this is mostly for if they are to develop any of it. I mean, they still have to pay the assessment because the water main line is going through there, but it's actually to their benefit if they do want to develop any of that land that they have municipal water going through that area.
I believe Don is correct. I think if it's zoned agricultural, though, it would be deferred until development, if I recall right. Is any of these zoned agricultural right now?
I don't know what
Is
it's
the Hartung-
currently zoned.
No, because they're currently mining.
Okay. Well, right, so I think our policy says that they will be responsible for it even though it hasn't been platted for development yet.
Right, so the thing we're approving tonight is just so that the city can
Right.
prepare the preliminary assessment report. So that would give them a better feel for what the costs are gonna be and that type of thing.
We don't
These-
have to move forward with it.
Yeah,
It's-
right, just providing this preliminary assessment report. Usually when we do this, if there are a lot of property owners, that's when this gets contentious. With people that have currently have wells, they'll still have to pay the assessment. They don't have to connect to it
Correct.
at that point in time. But with only two property owners, like I said, and this is just telling the city that go ahead and prepare this assessment report so that they'll have a better feel for what the actual cost of the assessment would be. Then there's always a public hearing where they can come in and ask questions and express their either, agreement or their disapproval at that point in time before we do it, so.
Thank you.
And I misspoke, it's not Hartung, it's another H word, Hammersley.
Okay, that's what I was, yeah.
Hartung's down the road east on Lacey, so.
Tim, what size diameter are you, have you got that far down the road yet? What size main we would be proposing there?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I do not know. Tracy
Yeah,
has been working on it, but I can pull it up here just a minute.
well, because I know that it's sized adequately, I guess. And no, don't even worry. Tracy did it, it's sized adequately, I'm not worried. Question whether it was,
So it's an existing 12-inch out there right now.
okay, all right. Sounds good. Any other questions on this?
Their assessment's just for the connection to the main, right?
No, the entire water main. So the TID's going to be paying for 30% of it, and then the property owners will be splitting that remaining 70%, so 35 and 35.
And that's based on the fact that they will get some benefit out of it. so.
All right.
So how do we, I mean, you're building it out there, assuming there's development. So why wouldn't there be assessment in the future on the developers then to contribute to the cost?
I think it's because they're the current owners, they have to pay it, and then when they sell it to someone that would be developer, they build that cost into the sale price of their,
The property, correct.
Price at that time, yeah. Yeah, that's correct. What's the timing? How long do you expect it would take to do the preliminary resolution? Is we be able to get it done this summer? I know you guys are.
the assessment, you mean, the assessment report?
The preliminary assessment report, yeah,
Yes.
okay. Now you're up to your eyeballs, so I don't want to put more on your plate. Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Our next Board of Public Works is scheduled for the 19th, or June 5th, yeah. Just think about the following one on that Monday, I think, is the holiday, the 19th. And so, I don't know if we want to, let's discuss it next time, whether we want to move that.
Juneteenth.
18th, yeah. All right, well, let's, we might need to move that, probably have to move that meeting unless we have it at a different location, I guess. But it's a
I guess some of
holiday.
it depends on how much,
It's a
how
holiday.
many items are on
Holiday
the
for city
agenda.
employees, so I think that meeting will probably have to be moved. All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Kim, second by Don. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned.